Welcome to Seeing This. We got a special bonus episode today where we're going back to the features once again.
Marty! You've got to come back with me! Where? Back to the future!
And today we are celebrating the 50th anniversary. Erica's decision to go with this movie. We'll get into if we liked the decision or not here shortly. But the 50th of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. My first time watching it.
Which
Adrian's
is so insane to me, Michael. I can't believe you haven't seen that movie.
Adrian's first time watching it. Erica, do you remember the first time you watched it?
Oh, no, I've seen this movie like hundreds of times.
It's just all blended together. So you don't remember the first time you watched it. Did you get introduced to it by someone, his family?
Probably my brother. Yeah,
Okay.
I probably watched it for the first time in high school. Went over my head, all of the satire that they've got going on in that movie. But I have watched it like as an adult multiple times. It's kind of like something that if I see it, be like, oh, that would be like a funny thing to watch right now.
It's a revisit. It's a rewatchable.
It's a revisit,
for you.
yeah. A potent quotable in our household too.
Potent quotable. I love it. I can see where there's definitely some quotes here. Like I'd heard them before, like in our grouped consciousness. Adrian, what did you think of the movie? First time watching it. Did you know anything about it? Had you heard any of the jokes?
No, I knew nothing of Monty Python, or the Holy Grail. I dug it in the sense I thought it was funny. It had a Blazing Saddles feel to me. You know
sure,
what I mean?
Okay.
That's such a good comparison. I like that.
So that's kind of what I felt when I was watching it. Like, oh, this is just like, Blazing Saddles, Airplane, like that kind of movie. So
like it's so stupid, it's funny.
It was funny, but I didn't retain any of it. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I'm looking back at notes and thinking back, like I don't think I retained any of the jokes or any of it, like punchlines. Like
nothing really stuck with it.
It was just on, and then occasionally you get a chuckle and a laugh, and then I don't know. I can't. That was it. I just moved on.
Yeah. Well, so the description of this movie: King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table embark on a surreal, low-budget search for the Holy Grail, encountering many very silly obstacles. So this movie was directed by and written by Terry Gilliam, Terry Jones. The additional writers are pretty much most of the main cast: Eric Idle, Terry Gilliam, Terry Jones, Michael Palin, and Graham Chapman, John Cleese as well. I think John Cleese is the only name I was really familiar with. A couple of these other guys, like I've seen in things, but not too familiar with a lot of them.
Really, only John Cleese and Eric Idle, I think, is the only other face I recognize.
Right. And I thought, for a first time, you kind of hit it on the head, Agent. Like it's funny. It has moments of chuckling. It's an enjoyable watch. I didn't hate it. It's hard to be mad at this movie. When I talk about movies taking themselves too seriously versus leaning into the joke, they're leaning into the joke. If they're committing to the bit, like that's my takeaway is talk about committing to a bit. This is that style of comedy 101. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I enjoyed some of the specifically the Black Knight. I'd heard of that bit. I was familiar with it. It's just a scratch. It's just the flesh wound. And still trying to attack King Arthur.
Well, and then he kicks the shit out of him when he's on the ground. He's like, I can still fight you.
As I watched it, I thought, the Labyrinth must have been inspired by this movie. Like the little dog that rides the dog in that movie is essentially that character. Like, oh, you're surrounded. You give up, do you? And I love that kind of comedy. But let's get into our categories here. We've got our wonderful categories. First off, the Will Smith at the Oscars. Does this still slap? Erica, having seen it before and seen it now, and obviously many times in between, has your feel for the movie evolved? What do you think?
I think my appreciation for the movie has evolved. Satire, like for me, that's one of like my favorite areas of comedy. So like when it's when it's done over the top and when it's done well, I really like it. And I think that this movie does satire so obviously and in your face that it's just so funny. And I personally think it still slaps. My mom hates this movie.
Really?
Like because I think it's just because my dad, my brother, and I just sit there cracking up the entire time on how stupid the movie is, but like how great and
she's like, you guys are all idiots.
yeah, she's like, you guys are just so fucking stupid.
You sure?
But I would say yes, it still slaps.
Adrian?
Uh, my wife would be the same as her mom. Like,
Okay.
she does not like this movie. She would not like it. She doesn't like Men in Tights. You know what I mean? And me and my kids will sit there rolling the whole time, and she's not about it. She's like, "This is retarded." I love it. It's great to me. I think it still slaps because you can watch this and get the jokes and see how the satire and understand the time that it was from and appreciate it and get some kicks out of it. I think it still slaps, and there was nothing that I was like, "Ooh, they can't say that." Like, we've seen
Yeah, it was
worse.
nothing like there wasn't any really thing, especially for when it came out. You know how sometimes you look back at a movie, you're like, ooh, like that was not in good taste. There's not really a moment in this movie where that happens. And I think a lot of people appreciate that it never took things too far. Like, obviously, it's the ridiculousness of them going around, I have a quest from God for the Holy Grail. And it's just like, look at how fucking ridiculous you look. But it's
I
like
mean,
nothing to be like mad about. Like,
she would not understand. Like, why is he doing this with coconuts?
I
Like, she would
swear.
not.
The
She'd be
gallop.
like, "This
So great.
is not for me."
Yeah. And just to clarify, Adrian meant mentally challenged earlier. Just want to clarify that point. But outside of that, I think it still slaps. It'd be really curious to know, like, if Anthony would have watched this or someone younger, like, or your son Adrian, what they would have thought of this, because they do like, a Men in Tights or whatever. Like, would this translate, since it's in English, it's a British humor, which is slightly different. And you can tell here with some of their bits. But I think overall, I think it still slaps, like, especially considering it's 50 years old. You can see how a lot of movies drew inspiration from this. Like I said, Labyrinth earlier and some other ones. So yeah, we'll say it still slaps. The Gladiator.
There's always
Ready?
one time where that happens.
There's multiple. This is becoming a bit now. The Gladiator 2 unnecessary sequel. What happens in the sequel of this movie? Can I just say the way this movie ends is maybe my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
It just, they get arrested by the police who come off as like the real police because someone actually got killed, the documentarian.
Which that scene always I just start crying laughing. Like, it's just so random and hilarious, and you truly believe that the bit is for the movie, and then all of a sudden he's fucking murdered. Like, it's just so
Is murdered, and they come shut down production, and then it goes to a blank screen, music plays, and I said maybe like 5 seconds into myself, I was like, if this movie ends with just like the anticipation of what's coming, there's no credits, brilliant.
it's so
Brilliant.
good.
Ultimate troll. But so what happens in the sequel? Do you have any ideas? Like, if they were to make a sequel?
This is a movie
So-
where it's like, you should never make a fucking sequel of this kind of thing. It's just
Well, that was with Gladiator 2, right? So that's the point. If it's an unnecessary, what can we do?
like, would you ever make a sequel to Princess Bride?
No.
No, you just don't do
So
it.
we just don't do it.
Yeah.
All
This is
right.
an
Well, I was gonna.
I thought there were more Monty Pythons.
There's more Monty Pythons, yes, but they're not sequels to each other. Like, they're all
Right.
standalone
It's
movies.
that's what I was gonna get at. Like, it's kind of hard. It's almost like a SNL. Like
Yeah.
like you can't make a sequel on
Wayne's
like
World
SNL.
2. There's Austin Powers 3. They're out there, but I get your point.
Hey, we're
I was
not gonna shit on Austin Powers here. All three movies are acceptable.
Yeah. I'd say
they made a whole movie based off of that character. They didn't make a whole movie based off of one character. They made a whole movie based off of a bunch of like different kind of skits. You get what I'm saying?
If we had to pick a sequel, it's for the sake of the category. I was thinking like it'd be funny if they then did like a police judicial system kind of parody where like they're locked up, so what happened, who stayed in prison, who's on appeal
Or
for their
like God
case,
gives them a vision of like how to escape prison
how to
or something
escape,
like
maybe
that.
some of them escape, and like they're playing like the attorney on both sides because the
Yeah.
actors are playing different
You know what?
characters.
I think Escape from Alcatraz came out around that time. So yeah, that would kind of fit like the
Like
whole
fit that.
like satire on that movie, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I think if you had to make one, that'd be an interesting route to go. The Whitaker, I've been calling it Chip for the longest time, and then I looked, it's actually Whip Whitaker from Flight, No Fly Zone. What hasn't aged well? You guys are kind of touching on nothing really, but I do have one or a couple, and
Okay,
that's the animal abuse. they're,
throwing the chickens
they're
and
throwing all a
ducks and
cow, everything across like a
I don't know if
catapult.
that's like controversial though.
Okay,
I
you
thought the same thing, Mikey. I'll give it to you on that because I did think like, man, those look like real animals that they're throwing. And as
the duck.
as I was like thinking
Duck,
that,
yeah, okay,
I
maybe.
realized like, okay, maybe this was before, you know, all the movies came out with like no animals were harmed in the making of this movie. Like I feel like that was before that disclaimer kind of comes out.
Well,
So
now
maybe they were really cruel to
some
some
of them,
animals.
but I think also to the extent of making a movie now, it's really hard to use real animals. Like even a horse, you got to go through tons of guidelines, whatever. So the fact that like the lady that continues to like beat the cat against against the
Yeah,
wall,
okay.
like
Yeah.
well, I think that qualifies.
Okay, that's fair.
That's fair. That's fair. Night Shyamalan twist ending. What's a twist you would have liked to seen? I kind of feel like
Yeah.
it was almost a bit of a twist.
Yeah, I like already kind of ended on a good twist.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone. We'll leave that
Yeah.
twist. No Country for Cold Takes. We need hot takes here. Any hot takes about the movie? Something that push against. I'll start. I say a hot take for this movie. There's a lot of movies in this genre that do it better, that are funnier, that should have this kind of standard and acclaim and lore that this movie has. That um people think of Monty Python and the Holy Grail as if it's the Holy Grail itself, right? It's this monumental, like we've all heard of it, even though we may not have seen it. And I think there's so many other movies near this time period that do it better.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's like a lukewarm take.
Okay.
I think yeah, that's kind of like a duh. How can it
Well, let me
not?
put it
was the
this way.
first. It was like considered like the first of that kind of movie. So I think that's why they say like it's the Holy Grail. It's of course movies did it better because they came out,
I mean, you had like
5 to 10 years after.
Back in the day, you had Laurel and Hardy, the Three Stooges, Buster Keaton that do like slapstick type of physical humor, things like this, right? But I think for this movie, I think the closest
I think it was
type
a
of
change of physical humor, right? Because like you mentioned the Three Stooges where like they were physically like doing things to each other, and whereas this movie it's more of like on their quest to do things, like they're encountering some people and there's like some physical humor like when it comes to that, but overall yeah, I kind of agree with it being like a lukewarm take because like yeah,
okay.
there's plenty of other movies that do it better.
You guys got
Um
something hotter? What do we got?
I don't really know. Hot take.
How about this? Is this movie better than Mel Brooks's best movie? Because I feel like that's the closest comparison, at least for me. Would be
What's
like
Mel
a Mel
Brooks'
Brooks.
best movie?
I mean, my favorite is Robin Hood Men in Tights, and I mean, spoiler alert, but that's going to be one of my double feature recommendations for
Yeah.
the Twins Award.
But,
I
like,
mean, people.
what's, like, the time difference between that? So, like, when Monty Python came out and
Yeah,
then, like, a Mel Brooks
I thought Mel Brooks was in the
best
80s, so that
movie.
would have been at
yeah.
least 5 to 10 years, you know?
Well, you got Young Frankenstein. That was 1974, right? And I think a lot of people, especially from an older generation, really connect to that movie. Like they love that movie, and I've
I
tried a
love
couple
Young
times.
Frankenstein. Like,
It's funny.
yeah.
It's funny.
Spaceballs was
I mean,
1987.
like, but for us, I feel like his newer movies are gonna be like Spaceballs, Robin Hood Men in Tights. People love obviously like
History of the
these
World.
So
History of the
here's
World Part
my
One.
thing though, Michael. So I know that you're saying like, is it better than one of his best movies? But even those movies have references to this movie, to
Yeah,
Monty
oh,
Python
100%.
in
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like you
yeah.
can't
So
really have those movies without Monty
Without this,
Python and the
sure.
Holy Grail, you know? But yes, like I could see where you're saying it's not the best that's ever been done, but you also can't acknowledge any of those movies without also paying tribute or acknowledging Monty Python and the Holy
Yeah,
Grail.
yeah.
And
so
Monty Python and his other shit that he did, because I've seen, I think,
when did Monty Python start? Because I'm
This was
looking
the
at Mel
first
Brooks,
movie.
and when Mel Brooks started, and I'm finding movies that 76 was a year after this one. 12 Chairs was 1970, directed
you
Yeah,
see
by
that
Mel
movie?
Brooks.
not too
I
well
haven't
known.
seen
I
it.
don't know that one. But I mean, like the
I
Mel
haven't seen
Brooks
this
we
one
know.
before.
I think Mel Brooks really started like Young Frankenstein is the one that really propelled him to the next level.
Mhm.
Studios started to give him money to make all these other movies that he makes.
Yeah.
All right, we can move forward. I mean, it was our hot take is this movie's perfect. Apparently, the Winona Ryder. I'm stealing this best prop to own. Is there anything you would have liked to have kept from this movie?
The Murderous Rabbit.
Yeah, the murder.
But,
The
like,
killer rabbit of
specifically
Karen
when
Banog.
it's, like, fangs are out, like, and blood's drenched, I would just, like, that would be hilarious.
When that scene came up, you kind of think like the knights do, right? Like, oh, it's a rabbit. Like, how's this gonna be a
little
bit?
bunny.
I soiled my armor. He's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so fucking mad.
And the way it's just so unrealistic but graphic, it just hits the right tone for that scene.
Yeah.
The rabbit. Adrian, anything?
I would probably take the coconuts.
The coconuts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
that they're
good.
carrying around doing the
The
horse thing.
galloping coconuts. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I would go with the holy hand grenade. With the
Nice.
cross and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
it's like, how does it work? And they go through the whole like instruction manual, or like, especially read out would be,
It just blows up.
yeah. You could say the Holy Grail itself,
Yeah.
The chalice.
the Black Knight's limbs. There's a couple options there. Okay, the Castaway recasting. Who would you recast in this role? Anybody come to mind? It's tough for these older movies.
Yeah, it's old
Yeah.
because I don't know anybody like Mel Brooks.
I mean, a cameo, like an early
That would be
cameo of Mel Brooks.
hilarious.
Uh,
Gene Wilder, like, that would have been funny to maybe try to incorporate him or, like,
mm,
make him the voice of God instead, because he's kind of, I mean, we've seen him in so much, but I always get like the picture of him like being a manic in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
yeah.
So like if he kind of had like that personality behind God where he's like saying everything backwards but then like corrects himself. That would have been fun. I mean, that's what made Young Frankenstein so funny was him. So
Mhm.
I think that would be a
Yeah.
good cast to get him
I
in.
don't know. The Simon Pegg and what's his name? Like
Oh, if they were
they'd
old,
be
like,
funny. Yeah.
yeah, if we could just like insert them back in
Yeah.
time, that would be hella
They'd be good.
funny.
Like they'd be like the modern day
Or like,
Monty
Like
Python.
British humor, you know?
the head woman in the castle who greets, oh, I forget who ends up going to the castle filled with women. But
Yeah.
maybe like Olivia Colman as the head lady who's in charge of all of the other nuns. Like that would be hella funny because she's
Uh,
hilarious. She's been in a
she,
lot of
she's
Simon
underrated in
Pegg
that
and Nick
sense.
Frost and a lot of really funny British movies. So
I think you're talking about Sir Galahad.
yes.
he goes to Castle Anthrax, where they
said,
have
"What?"
is what it's called. Yeah.
where they
Castle
have dressing, undressing, making exciting underwear.
Yeah, so great.
What a spa day. Yeah, I hear you. I was thinking if we were to pick up like a British actor, I thought of Benny Hill,
Oh
who
yeah, that'd
was
be
like
good.
a similar kind of like slapstick
Yeah.
humor. So plenty to choose from, but I think the way it's cast, and especially because they're playing multiple characters. Adrian, how long did it take you to realize that they were playing different, like the same actor was playing multiple
Like
characters?
so many characters.
Or did you
Ye-
realize it?
Yeah, I did. It took a while though.
Yeah.
And then I started catching on, like, oh, this is like SNL. It's just the same people doing different
Swapping.
characters and
Yeah.
different skits, and yeah.
Swapping, yeah. Last category. The Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito and Twins double feature recommendation. What do you guys got?
You go first, Adrian. I want to hear what you say.
I would do Blazing Saddles.
Blazing
Okay.
Saddles.
Mhm.
Okay, Mel Brooks. I'll go. I got a
Yeah.
few. I mean, I already talked. I mean, the closest comp is Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like, I feel like Mel Brooks made the like American version or the American interpretation of like Robin Hood specifically instead of King Arthur, but they're very much in conversation with each other. Another one would be the animated Robin Hood. If you want to do like a family friendly, get the kids in on it. That's always a great watch. And then the last one I'll say, underrated, underwatched.
Sword in the Stone.
Oh, sure, that's another one. Zorro the Gay Blade. Have either of you seen this movie?
No, but I've heard
Oh my God.
absolutely hilarious things about it.
This is your homework, Erica, because this is up your alley. Like, it is essentially the real Zorro passes away, and this is not really a spoiler, and it's a fucking comedy, so
Yeah.
calm down. The original Zorro passes away, and he leaves his costume and outfit, whatever, with his son to be the next Zorro. Well, little do we know, he has a twin brother who's in the Navy. So when this new Zorro gets hurt and hurts his leg, his brother from the Navy has to come and pretend to be Zorro, but he's a much more flamboyant Zorro with a whip. It is so funny.
That is so great.
Zorro the Gay Blade, and it's a similar kind of like writing. Takes place here on the West Coast, like Los Angeles. We're on to award season. The Julia Roberts and Pretty Woman, you made a mistake. Huge award. So the biggest nitpick. Again, it's hard to have nitpicks in a comedy like this because
Yeah.
And when that's satire, like that's the whole point. Is they're supposed to be poking fun,
like the one that came to mind for me, it could even be part of the joke, but for the sake of this award, is they have that whole long discussion about like the bird being able to carry a coconut because coconuts are tropical, right? And like that's a great bit, and they just stuck to it for a while.
Coconuts here. Yeah.
But then they flash forward, and that night that I think ends up joining them has a coconut and is like testing out the theory because there's like two birds, right? And where'd he get that coconut from then? You know what I mean? Where'd he get the coconut to test this theory? It defeats the purpose, but it could be part of the joke, which
But
makes
it's
it
just
great.
so great because then when they're trying to cross the bridge, he's like, "Well, what are you talking about? Do you mean an African swallow or a European swallow?" And they're like, "Why do you know so much about swallows?" And it's literally only because of that stupid fucking conversation he had.
They do such a great job of revisiting callbacks
Oh my God, it's
to
so
a
great.
joke later in a movie, or like just sit with the joke a long time.
Yeah.
It felt like a stand-up, you know?
Yeah, you've really got to commit to the bit there. So we'll give it to the second coconut.
Yeah,
Even
that's
though,
actually hella funny.
and realistically, they all end up riding horses that way. So that's so many coconuts that they have. So
Well, and then like when the army comes, like somebody's got to be doing coconuts for them too, because you hear
yeah.
it. Like,
That's so many coconuts. Yeah, that's fair. The John Leguizamo, this movie needs a Latin award. What could we have done to add a Latin here? I don't know if maybe there's someone from modern day that like we can put them in a time machine to make it easier.
It would have been a John Leguizamo.
Like directly John Leguizamo.
Directly, like when I read that and like I'm trying to watch the movie and like take notes, that's the movie I thought of was The Pest. John Leguizamo's movie where he's like a con artist, but he just has that like over the top type of humor that I think would fit in for this. It was almost like Jim Carrey, you know what I mean? But we want Latino. We got to get John Leguizamo right there.
The Pest is an interesting comp because that's also very like silly,
Yes.
slapsticky.
Yeah.
Erica, anyone come to mind for you?
Yes, and I always forget his last name, but give me like 5 seconds to look him
Erica, have you seen The Pest?
a
You know what
long
we're
time
talking about when we
ago.
say
Yes, a lot.
yeah.
Yes. Michael Pena.
Oh, sure.
And the only way I would like to see him in this movie, you know how in like the Ant-Man movies and any movie that he's in the Marvel, he like does like the talking about like what's going on. I think it would be hilarious if we had him like narrating everything that happened like post. So like when the police come and they arrest, if you just had him like narrating, he's like, so what ended up happening is like blah 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 blah, and he just like goes on a rant about like what ends up happening to them like
So like
post
Sir Arthur
arrest.
ended up
Yeah,
bailing
so like
out,
the story
or
of what ended up happening to them, but like just his recap. I think that would be really funny.
I had to do some research here, but I think once I describe this person, you know who I'm talking about. Chesperito, who is Roberto Gomez Bolaños, and he's essentially the one that had that TV show and where the bee from The Simpsons gets its inspiration from. You know, with the in his show he had like
Ay,
the red
ay, ay.
suit and the
Yes,
heart.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm talking about?
Ay, 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 mi
Um,
estómago.
he's essentially the Mexican slapstick, a play on words type of comic, and to be able to insert him and play multiple characters along with these guys, like there's no specific role. I think just being able to have him in there, I think I was going to do it again, spice it up. I don't mean it because he's Mexican, but it would add a certain flavor to the movie that would be a bit different, but I think would still fall in line with what they're doing.
Saying flavor and saying adding spice.
The same thing.
I don't know what to tell you. The Samwise Gamgee Most Underrated Character Award. This movie's tough for these because there's just so many different things happening with the actors and their characters.
The
But did you
witch.
get
The
The
witch.
Witch? That's a good call.
I think she's underrated just because of like the ridiculousness of the whole like scenario of them determining she's a witch. But when she's like so fed up by the end.
And they have like a whole scale to weigh her and the duck, right? I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny because I would say the witch in Men in Tights is kind of underrated too.
Underrated.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
She's great in that as well. I would actually go with the documentarian, the one that gets killed. He played by John Young, because he has very minimal lines, but like what happens to him sets up the whole domino of the end of this movie. You know,
The
that
only reason they're getting arrested.
sets off the investigation because this guy just got a drive-by by a horse. And yeah, I thought it was great, and especially when they're in on him and they start panning out. I thought the bit was going to be that the camera just keeps panning out until he's like this little speck or something.
That would have been funny.
Yeah. But I'd say him. We'll give it to the double win co-winners here. The daughter in Hereditary, oh shit moment. So what's something in this movie that made you go, oh shit?
I don't know if it's like dramatic oh shit or if it's just like oh shit. But the moment that the French people start throwing animals out, the big ass cow that they've just launched, you're like, oh shit! Like,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair because you don't expect that.
You're not expecting a cow to be flying in the air at these people.
No, and they mix in the real animals, so you feel like, oh shit, that was a real cow.
Oh,
it's like that's a duck flying right there with the rest of them for sure. Yeah, I think that wins. The only other one could potentially be like the Black Knight, and like
even the rabbit too. Yeah,
the rabbit would qualify as well. But I think the animal that happened first, and there were just not just that it was animals, but the abundance of animals that were coming. And then they did the bit a couple times where one of the, I don't know what you call them, but the fake horses gets hit by like two different.
And they just die. They just lay down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll give it to the animal catapult. The Rocky Balboa Gut Punch Award for most emotional scene. Is there an emotional scene in this movie?
No, it's a satire. There's no emotion except laughter.
Yeah, I think maybe the prince that's held hostage, and his dad, won't let him leave. That whole bit, by the way, where he's talking to the guards and giving them instruction.
That's another oh shit moment when he essentially murders everybody at the wedding. Like,
Yo,
for no reason.
Just like slashing people.
Erica, the original Red Wedding, right there is that scene. But yeah, I think having that when the father comes in and the prince is kind of like defeated and the dad's being an asshole. It's kind of emotional when he did get tied off, and again, oh shit, he's dead. And it kind of reminded me of you guys have seen Braveheart, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And then that son is kind of a similar character, like a little flamboyant, and he ends up, I think, killing himself, right? I think he jumps out. Similar thing. So I wonder if Mel Gibson got some inspiration from that. Emotional scene. We'll skip that one then. Coleman Domingo Best Dressed Award. A lot of different costumes in this movie.
Yeah.
Did anything stick out to you guys?
I kind of like all of the Frenchmen. Like, I kind of like their
with the gloves, with his gloves.
Yeah, their gloves. But then, but you only see the gloves and up here, right? So you
he could have been. He could have been like a puppet. Like we got the puppet angle. You know what I mean?
Maybe them. Maybe the guard at the bridge. He looked creepy and good. It's kind of hard for this movie because they're all in very similar attire.
I wanted to say, who was the guy with that mask? It looked like a big bird cage, but he was like a knight walking around with a big bird cage and a cross on his head.
Yeah,
like a stick. I thought that one was funny and cool.
We could give it to that.
It's so hard to tell who was who because the names are like Patsy, the second Swallow Savi guard. They play so many characters, but know who you're talking about. I was gonna say the enhancer. The guy with the horns and the big caterpillar eyebrows and the beard, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the Black Knight. Of all the outfits, if you got all black and a red cross, it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
All right. New director, who dis? Who's a director's version of this movie you would like to see? Did anyone come to
Mel Brooks?
Yeah, I mean Mel Brooks is an easy one to say, but we've kind of seen it. We've seen that.
Okay,
version.
So what about Keegan Michael Key?
Just to do a standalone directorial job.
Yep.
You guys love Key and Peele here. This is a Key and Peele positive podcast.
He's a funny dude. Key does a lot. He's Canadian. So do a Canadian version of this. He does a lot of stuff. He's a funny guy for sure. And I think it's just natural funny. I don't think he tries. I think if he did a Canadian version of this.
Yeah, if you did a Canada versus America kind of thing, I think that could be really funny. Or Canada and Mexico are trying to fight over claiming America again or something like that. That could be really funny.
Yeah, now you're talking my language. Sure. And you have slapstick Canadian comedians. I mean, tons of Canadian comedians.
That's the crazy thing too, is we have plenty of Mike Myers, that would be that would be amazing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He's the one that's leading all of the famous people or something to reclaim all of the stuff that
my pick is catty corner to that with I was gonna say a Seth Rogen version. So it could be a collaboration, and
another
he kind of
Canadian.
does so have them collaborate and get all the comedians from North America. All right, our last award.
Please, in the Canadian version, exclude Ryan Reynolds.
You can't.
He's busy.
We don't need him in that movie.
He's tied up.
Deadpool has to have a quick cameo.
No, he doesn't.
maybe not even him. It's street art or something, and it's even a commentary on Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively and what they're going through or something, just in the background. Okay, our last award, and the Oscar goes to, if you could award an Oscar to this movie, who would it go to? What department? What person? Performance? What do we think?
That's tough.
No Oscars deserved, huh?
It's just not something you would ever imagine to win an Oscar, maybe. Maybe like a director.
Oh, well, there's two of them, so they both get an Oscar there.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
directorial, maybe.
Terry Gilliam and Terry Jones. That's fair. I was gonna go in the direction of like either costume or production design.
Yeah, production
Um
design would be a good one.
yeah, I mean the way they have the castles and like obviously a lot of it is very like the castle itself, the way they shoot it, like you said, like you don't really need a lot to get that shot. You know what I mean? And like even the valley that, you know, they turn back and they're all standing there, like we've probably been to a place that looks like that. So like,
And I've also seen so many videos of people like recreating that scene where they're like literally at the castle that it was filmed at, and one person's up and the other person's on the ground like yelling at each other.
that's a great segue to end the podcast. I'm actually headed to England here the end of April for a friend's wedding. And I asked ChatGPT, Pink. Oh, when I drink?
Yeah.
Is that what I do? I asked ChatGPT, like, give me a walking tour of like film locations of movies filmed out. So, you know, maybe I'll record some stuff there and provide it to the listeners and whatnot to see if I can kind of do that. Ideally, I'd love to have a picture from the movie and then do the whole like, oh look, I'm
Yeah, that'd be
here.
cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Stand by for that. But anything else about the Holy Grail?
I think it's hilarious.
It's hilarious. Adrian says it was. Would you? So if we were doing it as a main episode on the Commodus scale, are you up or even?
I'd probably go even.
Even. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Well, nonetheless, happy birthday to Monty Python and the Holy Grail. 50 years. We're going to do some more Back to the Futures coming up here. We have a main episode coming for you on Monday. Until then, you can like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Seeing This Pod across all of our socials, as well as our website, seeingthispod.com. And we'll see you on the next episode. Until then, stay safe.